Welcome back to the channel, I'm Damo, and in today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at the 2020 Volvo XC40. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell icon to get notified whenever there's another new video. Cheers! We're going to start on the outside just quickly. This is the key that you get with your XC40. You can note that the buttons are actually on the side rather than on the main body of it, which is quite unusual. It's keyless, this particular model. We'll run through the options shortly, which means you can just walk up to it and sort of wave your hand over here and it will open. It was already open, so now I've just done it and it's locked. You can see the little cool wing mirrors closing. Let's open it again. There we go. Took a while, guessing because we've just locked it. Let's jump inside. Okay, so on getting into the XC90 for the first time, I guess what you're taken aback with is the bare bones nature of the driver display, where the speedometer and tachometer sit. They are all now a screen, and in the middle now a screen. They've always been a screen in the XC40, quite common now I think on most modern cars. The center console is taken up by a portrait shaped iPad style infotainment system. That in itself is quite good. It's a little bit complicated to use at first, so much so I intend to dedicate a whole video looking a little bit more closely at that. So I've been using this car now for about 3 or 4 days, and I have to say this whole infotainment setup system has frustrated me a bit. So I'm going to do another video. Stay tuned, subscribe, have a look, keep an eye out for that where I'll go over it in more detail. So this particular model is the Momentum model. It's very well appointed actually, and it's got a few good optional extras, albeit the Momentum is kind of considered in the tiers of XC40s, I suppose, bottom of the range. Above it you've got the R design, you get the cool, often two-tone black roof on there, lots of lettering, lots of silver, a bit more of a sporty chassis and setup. And then above that you've got the inscription, which is kind of all bells, all singing, all dancing, lots and lots of luxury alloy, various different types of trim and things like that. This Momentum though is still pretty good in terms of what you actually get. This one is the four-wheel drive version of the Momentum, so it's the T4. It makes about 187 brake horsepower. It gets to 60 in around 8-ish seconds, and it will top out at 130 miles an hour. You get a chunky load of boot space, around 586 litres, which is pretty good. It's sort of almost a state car type equivalent, even though this kind of comes across as a bit of a smaller SUV. It's actually really spacious in here and quite practical. Okay, so driving the XC40, what does it feel like? Well, I guess it depends on the perspective that you're coming at it from. And of late we've been used to driving around a family car in an estate, and it's a lot lower down. This has a really good driving position actually. So although it is higher up, like an SUV kind of should be, once you kind of get used to it, it doesn't really feel that high up. And I guess that's the real sell point with a lot of these modern, smaller, super popular SUVs, is that they do feel pretty much car-like when you're in them, but you get that benefit of a nice high driving position. Brakes on this car are absolutely excellent. That may have something to do with the fact that this car's really, really new. Obviously discs all around, premium model, it's 2020, every car's got discs, but they are just very, very responsive. This car pulls up and brakes and stops really, really quickly. Steering's light and comfortable. It's not too light though. It's firm. It's Volvo-like, and that's nice because you want to have the feeling of Volvo, being in a Volvo. The overall design of this car, from its looks to the way it feels, what you touch and things like that, apart from these tacky air vents, is very, very solid. Very, very Volvo-esque. Feels like it's going to last. which is good, and it's what you want out of a car, especially when you're paying thick end of 40 grand for it. So economy wise, I've been driving this car 3 or 4 days and it's been averaging, this is real world MPG as shown on the trip computer, 28.7 MPG through a range of driving. All XC40s come with different driving modes. Dynamic for when you're feeling sporty, comfort, which it seems to default to all of the time, eco, which I guess if you want to save money on fuel is a good mode to be in, and then there is an off-road option, which is often greyed out for me. I think you have to be under certain conditions or going at a certain speed to enable that. All those different driving modes that you get resets itself when you get back in, so it doesn't kind of remember the last one that you were using. It goes back to the, I think, the comfort one. So again, it's probably something you can set up to stay on in the settings. Have a look for that. The build quality in here feels exceptional. I think the only thing that does feel a little bit plasticky is these kind of modern stylish looking air vents. They're a little bit, I don't know, a little bit plasticky. The seats are fairly supportive. They're not as comfortable as you would expect in a Volvo. Having previously owned Volvos, these seats in those were generally a lot more cushioned, and therefore I suppose on long journeys they were really nice. If you've got quite a there's no polite way of putting this, if you've got quite a large derriere, you're probably going to struggle in these seats. They're fairly narrow based, rightly or wrongly. That's just how it is. And on old Volvos of old, they were always quite wide and really soft and padded. Having said that, done a long journey in this car and it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. The firmness of these seats is actually, it's all right. I didn't get out of this car aching after having done a long journey. It's quite nice. Prices for the XC40 start at about £25,000-ish. This is new. To get this particular model, this is a 4-wheel drive Momentum with a few bits of optional extras added on. New is probably going to cost around the £39,000 mark. I've seen these for sale though at 2 years old with between 10 and 15,000 miles on or so for around £27,000. When you're buying a new XC40, they come with lots of option packages. This one comes complete with the driver assist package, which means you get auto dimming electric rear view mirror, blind spot information system, that's the little lights that appear on your big chunky wing mirrors when someone's in your blind spot, really useful. It's also got pilot assist and adaptive cruise control. What is pilot assist and what is adaptive cruise control? Pilot assist is where the car will steer for you, in part. So it's one of those stages within the stages of driver control that the car can kind of take over to some extent. So you can actually, wouldn't recommend it, let go of the steering wheel and it will steer to some extent for you. If you let go of it for too long, it starts flashing amber at you. If you let go of it or stay let go of it, if you stay not holding the steering wheel, it will flash red and then eventually it will cancel out that pilot assist. But it does mean that on, I don't know, it's a security thing. The idea is keep your hands on the steering wheel, and I guess it kind of is a bit more safety. It's actually pretty scary if you're not used to it, a little bit intimidating. So much so, I will dedicate a whole video to that system and you can actually see it in action. The other thing this car comes with is the adaptive cruise control, and that basically means it adapts to the car in front, kind of looks at the car in front and matches its speed so it slows down and what have you. Again, very, very useful, and I was using it over the last few days. It's more useful when you're actually in slow moving traffic. That's because the car in front, it's a lot of stop-start driving, and actually that adaptive cruise control kind of just takes all that stop-start pain out of it. It kind of just does that for you, so it is more relaxing to drive. It's quite nice. It's certainly a step on the way to cars kind of driving for themselves, rightly or wrongly, whatever your views are on that. And like I say, it can be, if you're not used to it, it takes a bit of getting used to, a little bit scary. This XC40 comes with a lovely full-length sunroof, so when you retract the blind you get really, really nice light and airy cabin feel in here, and if the kids are in the back they can see out a lot more as well. Other things this car comes with is park assist, so it will park itself. You can also get power seats as an option, so the usual kind of electronic buttons to move your seat up and down, backwards and forwards, etc., and the lumbar support. You can get them to store in the memory of the key, and then there's a versatility option as well. This car comes with an electric tailgate, which if you don't know how to use it or you haven't read the manual and you start waving your foot under it, can be a bit of a pain. Have a look at this. So the electronic tailgate has a little bit of a knack to opening it by sticking your foot under it, and that is, you don't wave it about, you just do one sharp movement like that, stand back, and the boot opens. To close it, it's the same. So you just, again, one movement in, pull your foot away, and it closes. Now, I didn't know that until I'd read the user manual. What at first I was doing was waving my foot around like that, and that's the wrong thing to do. The automatic wipers that come with this car, there isn't an actual option that says A or auto on the dial where you turn the wipers on or off. It's a bit confusing really. You actually have to push a button, and unless you change a setting in the menu, you have to do that every time you get in. When you go to fill this car up, the petrol flap is a really big long thing, and you have to kind of push it in to open it, and in there you've got the tiniest little receptacle for putting your petrol pump nozzle in, and next to it is almost a blank hole, and I'm guessing that blank hole is for AdBlue if you've got the diesel version maybe, or a extra sort of place for charge ports and things like that on the plug-in EV version. Either way, it's one of those quirk foibles that you get on a car where you haven't quite got the thing where that thing should be. It's one of my sort of pet hates, and arguably, I don't know, they've done it for efficiency I guess, but it would have been nice if it had been designed out. So the Volvo XC40 is actually a really, really stylish car. It's actually a really attractive design. In my opinion, much better than the Volvo XC60. It carries through that classic kind of Volvo rear taillight design that I think was first seen on the XC90. See my other video for a review on the original XC90. Down at the front then, you've got this really, really abrupt front nose, real aggressive almost stance, which I really quite like, and the now what is fairly commonly termed Thor's hammer headlights on the front just look really, really cool. So I'm guessing this car is competing with the Range Rover Evoque and all the various Range Rover Sport type models that you can get. It's that sort of really premium, I'm going to call it mini, mid-range SUV, and I really, really like the stance and the way it looks. It's just sort of positioned quite nicely. It's not low down like you get these lot of crossover SUVs. It looks fairly chunky and fairly purposeful as an actual four-wheel drive SUV. One of the other things that this car comes with is 20-inch, I believe they were optional, two-tone, so they're black and silver, diamond cut 5-spoke alloy wheels, and I think they really set the car off, that two-tone nature. I'm kind of a big fan of two-tone alloy wheels. On this, they look really good. The standard, I believe, are just silver. So if you can seek out those two-tone versions, worth having. They're really nice. Thanks for watching this pedal out video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and write in the comments, tell us what you think. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Don't forget, if you'd like your car features on the channel, drop us an email. Cheers.